G'day everybody, just a bit of an update on this video because it's a little different to the rest. Those of you who had a little bit of a look at my general update videos, you'd realise that I had a bit of an accident and ended up dropping my phone into the river. And that actually happened the day where I was heading from Taiki Marae through to the Flying Fox. And yeah, basically I had a lanyard to put around my neck with a waterproof cover to put the phone in, but the phone wouldn't fit. Just to be extra cautious, I guess, I put this phone in a Ziploc bag and I was putting it in the pocket of my pants, making sure I zip my pants up all the time just to keep the phone safe. And I was always unzipping it, doing my videos in the boat and putting it back in. And just got a bit distracted. We'd come down past Pipariki. We'd had a bit of a break on the side of the river. We're hopping in and we're having a discussion about what kilometre mark the Flying Fox was, because it wasn't very clear in the notes. And I had my phone out, I was looking at it and put my phone in the pocket, and we quickly took off. And one lapse of concentration, I didn't zip my pocket up. And I was sitting in the back of the canoe that day doing the steering. And when you sit in the back of the canoe, your level of my pocket is exactly level and touching the side of the boat. You're paddling away, so the paddle makes a slushing noise, and the phone must have just gradually wriggled its way out. It was probably a bit extra, had more slippery because it was in a Ziploc bag. And when it's plopped into the river, I wouldn't have even noticed. I would have just thought it was my paddle as I was paddling along. And I went to take a photo of a bridge over the river, and then suddenly got that sick feeling in my stomach and realised that my phone had gone into the river. So there's good and bad in that. The night before at Taiki Marae, I actually transferred all my videos and that onto a hard drive. So I could have lost all the footage and everything from the monument, which was the day where we walked from the monument into Whakahoro, where we start the river, and the first 2 days on the river as well, including Bridge to Nowhere. But really lucky, I don't know what made me do it, but I transferred that information from my phone to the hard drive. So that's how I made the last sort of 3 videos that you're seeing now. So what ended up happening, there was actually, 4 days where I never had a phone with me. So the last 2 days on the river, and then from Whangaehu we walked out to a place called Whangaehu as well. I did take some notes as we went down the river on the last or in the next 2 days. And then when I finally got a phone, luckily I was staying at my father-in-law's, so I retraced my steps as far as I could in his car, went back up to the Whangaehu Bridge and the landing point of the river, and drove around Whanganui, showing you generally what I would have shown you had I had my phone anyway, and also retraced my steps in the car down to Whangaehu. So I did get some footage, so it'll be a little bit disjointed, but I'll just go through my summary notes each day and explain what happened, and then some footage from the car will start at the end of this clip as well. But basically, yeah, Taiki Marae down to Flying Fox, that day started really nice. We actually had more vertical cliffs. So I thought the land was opening up, I said in the last video, but the cliffs closed up and they went nice and vertical again. But we're also faced that day with the most challenging rapids on the river, including what's known as the 50-50, where half the people that go through that rapid fall out of their canoe. We were having a discussion the night before we were going down these challenging rapids, and Tim, who I'd always canoed with for the first couple of days, he really wanted to go through that 50-50. There was another lady, Amy, American lady, and myself. We weren't too fussed. I was quite comfortable just to canoe the river, and a 50-50 rapid, getting in, getting wet, possibly getting all my stuff wet. We were quite happy to paddle around it. So Tim jumped in with a gentleman from Israel that was originally paddling with Amy, and then I ended up jumping in with Amy. And we went down the river, and I said to Amy, I was steering in the back, I said, one little warning. I said, by the time we realise we're at the 50-50 rapid, we might not be going around it because we might be in the middle of it. But the rapids aren't signposted. If we see it and we know it's a 50-50, we'll go around it. Well, we were going along the river, and they were more challenging rapids, and Rich and Lena went through what we thought was, it was a bit of a bigger rapid, and they got through okay. Then Tim got through with the gentleman from Israel and thought, gee, that looked a little bit bouncy. And Amy and myself were at the back, and John and Vivian went through, and we were just behind them, and in they went. And Amy screams out to me, oh no, they've gone in, what do we do? And I said, we're past the point of no return, just paddle like mad, and had no idea what rapid it was. And we got through, our boat probably half filled with water. 3 really big waves as we went through, and it took all my strength to turn that boat and get it head on to the last wave so we wouldn't go in. And we had to go over the side and bail, like the 2 before us that didn't go in. We were all half full of water and bailed it out before we could paddle across the river to go and help John and Vivian, because if we had gone across and hit that current sideways, half full of water, we all would have gone in as well. It wasn't until we were there bailing out and we got over, helped Johnny and Viv, a jet boat actually came up the river, and the guy stopped and had a bit of a chat to us, had a boat full of tourists, and I just called out to him, I said, was that the 50-50? And he said, yeah. And I thought, wow, there we go. So I have actually done the 50-50 and I didn't fall out, but only just got through. So that was pretty cool. But we pressed on after that and we went down to Pipariki. That's not far after 50-50. Didn't actually go in and look at Pipariki at all because Vivian was looking pretty cold because she had actually gone completely into the river. So we decided to push on, and we're all thinking once we got below Pipariki, there wasn't much in the notes and that on the river, and we didn't expect we'd come across many rapids, but there was actually some pretty challenging rapids below Pipariki as well, and a lot of them, the rapids actually went under overhanging willow trees as well, so there was a couple there where we had to duck under branches as well, so that was surprisingly more challenging than we expected as well. And when we actually got into the Flying Fox and having a chat there, one of the owners used to be a canoe guide, and the lower the river level, the more challenging the rapids are. And he said in all his life, he's only seen the river level lower than it was when we went down once in his life. He said, this is the second lowest I've ever seen it. So we got some pretty low rapids. And there was a couple of places below Pipariki where we bottomed out as well. We sort of had to sort of get out and push the boats over the rapids a little bit because we just stopped on the rocks. It was that low, the water level. Going into the Flying Fox, that was really nice in there, but just be a little bit wary. They really want you to pay cash, and I don't know why, but those owners in the Flying Fox, they had been burnt obviously from some past TA hikers. They reckon sort of vandalised part of the property or something, so they were very sort of guarded when we rocked up, but we did our best to sort of get them back on board with the TA and the hikers, so they're a little more willing to welcome TA hikers in than they were when we rocked up, and I hope that everybody behind us does the same thing. Other little things I noticed on that stretch of the river was just the massive number of goats on that river. It was just amazing. There was heaps of pig rooting up there. We even saw 3 wild deer run past as well. So that was actually quite nice, but just the sheer number of goats were everywhere. So I don't know what Doc are going to do about that and whether they're going to start culling them out. But yeah. And then we moved on basically from Flying Fox the next morning and we went down to Hipango Park. Now, I have worked it out. Again, Flying Fox and Hipango Park, in the trail notes, there's no information on that accommodation, on what kilometre mark those 2 accommodations where they're located. I've worked it out and gone in on an aerial map and worked out where everything was for you. So if you're following me, I've got those kilometre marks pretty much locked in, so you know when you're going to get there. Look, Flying Fox down to Hipango Park. We had a bit of a late start that morning. There was no real need to rush. It wasn't the biggest day. There was only a couple of rapids, nothing difficult this day. The river was really slowing down. Because we were below Pipariki, there were no jet boats to deal with because they leave quite the wake and they don't get a lot of time to react to those boats when they come down the river. You've got to get to the side and turn around pretty quick so you don't get tipped in. And we got down to Hipango Park where it starts getting tidal, and we did notice as we were getting down there that the whole river slowed down, so the tide was sort of just at that turning point, high tide, to start going out when we were paddling in. We did get to Hipango Park. It's a long haul with your barrels, getting all your barrels of all your supplies up to Hipango Park. But it was a nice park when we got there. There were 4 separate toilets, 2 ladies, 2 men's, great shelter, heaps of flat grass area to put up your tent and that. So it was really good. I was really comfortable there, water supply and everything. So great little spot. But that night, the wind, well, just before we finished the paddle, the wind did actually pick up, and whether that wind blew from the front or behind, it just spins the canoes around really easily, and that was quite a struggle for us, but we persisted and we got in there. And yeah, it was really gusty wind all night. None of us got a lot of sleep because it was so windy and it was raining. That was the first day when we got up that morning where I had to pack up everything in the rain, so it was good having the shelter there. You could sort of get your stuff over there and get it into your pack without getting too wet. And to catch the outgoing tide, we had to be paddling at 6 o'clock in the morning. So everybody set their alarms for 4:30. It was all us oldies, as we call ourselves, a geriatric crew, but there's a whole heap of younger ones there as well. And everybody was up at 4:30, hour and a half to have breakfast, pack up your tent, get all the barrels down and tied into the boats. And we pushed off at 6:01, right when we should have. And it was raining. There was forecast a lot of wind, but luckily they got the rain right and they didn't get the wind right at all. There was not a lot of wind at all. And we paddled out. It wasn't a lot of fun. It was pretty bland, boring sort of paddle out. Then you get up to Hipango Park. That's an area where the paddle steamer comes, and I'll put up the video clip when I drove back and talked everybody through from there and got through. But basically when you hit that Hipango Bridge, you want to get over the true right bank of the river, because you go past some mangroves and some trees right down the water line, and the Top 10 Holiday Park ramp, it just appears really, really quickly. But other than that, that was sort of the last sort of couple of days on the river where I lost the footage. Obviously got into Whangaehu, started sorting out my phone issues and everything, and pressed on and walked down to Whangaehu, still with no phone. But when I got to, Whangaehu, not Whangaehu, we pressed on to Whangaehu. Then the next day we walked from Whangaehu down to the Turakina River mouth and camped down there. That's where my footage started again, because I had my hands on a phone and I could start videoing and taking photos again. One thing in the trail notes, it said, or it discussed the importance of hitting the Turakina River at low tide to be able to safely cross it. That's why we split the Whanganui to the Turakina River mouth into two, because we had low tide at 1:15, and it's right at the end of about a 31 kilometre day. To get there, 31 kilometres for a 1:15 tide crossing, we thought we'd be leaving in the dark in the morning. Nobody really wanted to do that. But we did get there, and far out, it was really easy to cross. It hardly even came up to our knees. So, yeah, be wary of that. And when you get to the other side of that river, you can see the town. But, man, there was a lot of bush bashing and that to get through there. So just be a little bit wary of that. And, yeah, a lot of people were a bit disappointed with the notes aren't too good in that area. But you'll see the videos and the photos and that. And that was a lovely campground again. So I'll check out here, and I'll go back and I'll find the footage I took from the car to show you the rest of the footage, as I say, coming into Whanganui, out of Whanganui over to Whangaehu, and then Whangaehu down to the Turakina River mouth. And there's about 3 days of footage in there that'll all be wrapped in, or 4 days of footage all into one video. Anyway, we'll check in and everything will be back to normal from tomorrow's videos onwards. See ya. Well, g'day everybody. This is the Hipango Bridge. And obviously I couldn't take footage of this when I came down the river because I had no phone. So I'm actually heading over to Bulls now. I've already walked to Bulls. My father-in-law was running me back and I've got my phone going. But yeah, it's a bit of an arch bridge here with the deck suspended under it. When you get to here, get over to the true right bank of the river, because you're only 3.5k from your finish point at the Top 10 Holiday Park. And just pure luck, there's a few people coming down on their kayaks now. Most likely TA hikers, because most of the non-TA hikers actually hop out at Pipariki. But you only got 3.5k to go from here. And if you do want to spend a little bit of time in Whanganui, there's a tiny little jetty over here. You can just see it in the riverbank here. And just through the trees here, you'll see a few buildings. So you can catch the Waimarie paddle steamer. Actually, the jetties, I zoomed on the wrong one. It's a little bit further up here. You can see them doing some repair works with a crane and that at the moment. And you can pop up to the pub and that just through the trees here, and you have a nice snack and go for a ride on a paddle steamer, watch them firing up the furnace and that to do it. So yeah, beautiful little spot. Just remember, when you hit this bridge, 3.5k, get over on that right bank. You're going to go past a few mangrove trees and that, and the concrete jetty, it'll appear really quickly on you. Okay, I'll head down to the jetty now anyway, and we'll show you what that's like. See ya. So you can see here, this is where we came in on the kayaks, and near all the mangrove trees and that. So like I say, you've got to hug that right bank of the river. And you can just see the sign up here for the Te Aroa hikers. And you just pull your boats up on this little concrete ramp, and all the canoes, actually, they must have just come and collected them, because there's heaps of canoes up here when I pulled in. But you just tip your canoe on the left-hand side up there. There's another company here collecting a few boats at the moment. And just repack your bags. Then you disappear up this little path to the right here. There is a shop at the campground, which is pretty good if you want to get something to eat. If you start walking, there's a dairy as you're not far down the road as you walk out of here as well. So plenty of places to get a snack. If you come off the river, don't worry about having food on you. All right, we'll take you a bit further down and show you the rest of Whangaehu. See ya. So the top 10 in Whangaehu is a lovely, tidy looking little camp. So as I said, there is a store here, but if you want to stay here, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. So it's a concrete footpath all the way in, and here's that little dairy I was talking about, the pylon dairy. And you just follow the river down into the city. The river's just through these mango trees over the left. You'll probably get a glimpse of it in a second. There's a river just down there. So this is a train bridge you'll see when you're walking into town. And on the other side of the road is what they call Caroline's. And she actually accommodates the TA hikers in behind her restaurant here. And this is one of the most popular restaurants. You get a great meal out of that Caroline's restaurant in there. It's called the Boat Shed. So if you want a really good meal, highly recommended. All right, if you look down here, that's the pedal steamer. You can see the steam coming out of it. So that's the pedal steamer you can ride up to Hipango and go and have a feed at that little jetty by the first bridge I showed you. If we just pan over here, this is the main road bridge over the Whangaehu River. So you'll sort of finish your day there. If you come into the heart of Whangaehu, you can go get to your accommodation. But once you come over that bridge, you hang a left here, and this sort of hotel here is called the Cob. And you can go into the Cob here and you get a $15 steak and veg in that. Really good place to go for a meal. The other one I showed you was Caroline's up by the train bridge. And the other option you get here for a really good meal, you go over this bridge and walk right up the other end of the street, and you'll get to the Pack and Save and the Countdown. And right at that intersection on the right hand side of White Building, St John's Club, you get unlimited access to the vegetable and salad bar. You just order your meat that you want and you get unlimited access. So coming off the trail, it's quite nice to go somewhere where you can have heaps of salads and vegetables. That's a good place to go. But I'll just sit around this corner here and I'll show you the start of the Jury Hill steps. So there you go. If you want to cheat, that's the Jury Hill Tower. You can go in there and go up in the old-fashioned elevator. But if you're a true hiker, you go up the steps here. See a few locals walking up here now. So I'm actually already done this, obviously. I'm going through to start walking from Bulls. My father-in-law's reconnecting me. But we're just going through here on the way out. I'll go up the top of the steps and I'll show you the view from the top. See ya. Alright, so this is the top of the steps. You come up the stairs and there's a little zigzag path. And there's a lady that takes you up the elevator if you wanted to cheat. But I'll just walk up this little spiral here and show you the view of the city. Okay, so here's the view of the river coming down. That's the train bridge, Dublin Street Bridge, sorry. And down here, I'll zoom in, you can see the Waimarie, that's the pedal steamer I showed you down the bottom. You can ride up the river there. And down here's our main road bridge. And you walk up that main street, as I said, to St John's Club. And there's a view down to the river mouth. And they're about to change the TA, so I'm going to go down number 2 line where I walked, and this year's hike goes, and I'm not sure, but soon I expect you'll cross the bridge and you'll go down to that river mouth on the left bank of the river. There's going to be a beach walk instead of a road walk, because they're building a bridge over the Whangaehu River, which you can't cross safely now. We cross the Turakina River, but not the Whangaehu, so maybe that bridge will be finished for next year's hike, I'm not sure, but it's been built for the TA hikers. And here's the War Memorial Tower. You can choose whether or not you walk up that tower, it's up to you. And a little bit of nostalgia, but the red roof here, I used to live in that property. Had a little unit in there. So once you get up the top of the hill, you just pop down the street there, maybe 5-minute walk, and there is a dairy, and that's your last chance to get a drink or something. You can do a bit of a detour into Fordell. You're probably at 1.5 kilometres to your walk for the day. But if you don't do that or go to this last dairy, then for 2 days before you get somewhere where you can get some food again. So just be wary of that when you get up here. But we'll head down number 2 line and I'll show you what that was like down there. So this is a road out to Fordell. It's a little bit windy at the beginning, but it is a tough road to walk on. There's just no verge, and yeah, we went sort of, well, not really early in the morning, but about 8 o'clock, and there was a lot of traffic on this road, so it's not a road to walk down with your headphones on. But you do get some beautiful views. If you get a nice day, you walk along this road, you can actually see Mount Ruapehu in the central plateau. If you turn around and you're really lucky, you can actually see Mount Taranaki out New Plymouth as well. So you have to be pretty lucky with the weather to see that, but it is beautiful scenery out here as you walk along. Just got to keep your wits about you on the road. I'll show you Fordell when we get there. Like I said, we've gone past a little dairy, and unless you're on a detour into Fordell, that's your last food stop for 2 days until you walk into Bulls, and that's a fair distance to walk into there. So lovely little church here. As you walk down to the intersection, you'll turn right or you go down to Fordell. So again, other than here, you can see the road down there. Still not much of a shoulder, but it's pretty straight now, and you just sort of jump up and down a little bit as you come along. Anyway, we'll move on. So this is where you'll turn a right off the number 2 line on the trail, and as I said, last real chance if you want to get anything to eat. There's a service station with some basics just down there in Fordell, but the trail, we're going to spin around here in the car to the right, and this is the way you'll go on the trail. So very similar walk to the one down number 2 line, country road, but yeah, not a lot of room to get off it, so keep your wits about you down here. And at the end of this, we're going to hit State Highway number 3. Okay, so this is the State Highway 3 section, and yeah, really busy obviously. State Highway 3, a lot of trucks, a lot of milk trucks, so we just walked into the traffic on the right, and we're going to go down quite a big hill with an overtaking lane, so you just got to, again, not walk with headphones and that, and just keep your awareness up. And down the bottom is Whangaehu, and that's where we walked, and my friend Carla took us back into town and dropped us there the next morning, and I actually had this phone by then so I could start taking videos and photos again. And I've got to make that video, and that I've only just got the phone fully uploaded with all the apps and that today. It took ages, so I'll be able to start. I'm going to have a late finish today because I won't start walking till about 3 in the afternoon, and I'm going to probably do 20 to 30k, I'm not sure, but as soon as I can, I'll start getting those videos stitched together again and get them uploaded for everybody. But yeah, this is the overtaking lane. You get down to the bottom of the hill, you've got to cross over, and there's a footbridge or a little bit for foot traffic on the left hand side of this bridge down here, and then I'll pick up the footage from the bottom of this hill with the footage I got a few days ago. Alright, we'll catch you later.